The corridor smells like polished wood and coal smoke, warm even at midnight. Somewhere below, engines thrum like a distant organ. You've paid for safety disguised as luxury white linen, silver service, a ship everyone calls unsinkable. Then the floor gives the smallest, strangest shiver under your feet. This is your life, level by level, inside Titanic. The calm before the storm. A luxurious transatlantic journey begins. The grand staircase flashes under the dome, all oak panels and gilded trim, the clock set into the carving like a promise. You taste cigars in the first-class lounge, hear laughter from the Café Parisien, feel the steady pulse of the ship through the soles of your shoes. Stewards glide past with starched cuffs and quiet faces. Outside, the Atlantic is glassy and black, the air sharp enough to sting your throat on the promenade. You tell yourself this is the modern world. You tell yourself steel and watertight doors have replaced superstition. You tell yourself the headlines were right, unsinkable, largest, safest. You count comforts like proof. Electric elevators, Turkish baths, a wireless room that can reach shore, a cabin bell that brings tea in minutes. You close your door on the corridor's soft footfalls and turn down the lamp. The luxury isn't the point. The point is how easily it teaches you to sleep. Comfort is a lullaby sung by rivets and pride. Iceberg ahead. The night when the unthinkable happens. The jolt isn't a crash. It's a long, tearing scrape that runs beneath your bunk like a fingernail dragged along glass. Your lamp trembles. A muffled shudder travels through the bulkheads. Then the engines change tone, less confident, more hesitant. You swing your feet onto cold carpet and listen. Doors open. Voices rise and fall in the corridor. A steward appears, too polite, too practiced. Nothing to worry about. You step onto the deck anyway. The night is knife cold. The stars unreal, and ahead just beyond the bow you see a pale shape, low and silent, slipping away into darkness. Somewhere below, men move fast. You hear the word, mailroom, then, boiler room 6, said like a prayer. You tell yourself it's a precaution. You tell yourself they've hit ice before. You tell yourself the ship is built for this. Then you notice the slight list, the way the deck no longer feels level. The ship doesn't scream. It simply begins to doubt its own weight. SOS distress. The Titanic sends out distress signals. You find the Marconi room by following urgency boots on steel, clipped orders, doors that close too quickly. Through a gap you glimpse operators hunched over keys, headphones clamped tight, tapping out a rhythm that feels like panic translated into code. CQD. Then, more sharply, SOS. The ship's voice thrown into empty night. Up on deck, covers are stripped from lifeboats. Falls creak. The davits groan as the first boat swings out over black water. Women and children first, someone says, and the phrase spreads like a rule nobody rehearsed. You count boats without meaning to. You count people without finishing the math. Officers check names, then stop checking. A flare hisses upward, painting faces green-white for a second, wide eyes, clenched jaws, breath turning to smoke. You tell yourself help is close. You tell yourself the wireless can reach anyone. You tell yourself the sea is calm, so the waiting won't be hard. Then another boat goes down half full, and you realize hope can be lowered on ropes. Signals travel fast. The water doesn't. You've watched order turn into procedure. Next, procedure turns into instinct. When the bow starts to vanish, you won't be deciding what to do, you'll be surviving what you are. Level 4. Every man for himself. Order collapses into raw survival. Cold air slaps you the moment you step fully onto the boat deck. The sea looks harmless, flat as oil, but the ship's angle is wrong, subtle, steady, undeniable. Officers pace with pistols visible, not raised, just present. Move along. Back there. Step in. The davit winches click. Rope fibers squeal, and another lifeboat hangs for a second like a question. You see the math in bodies. Third-class families pressed behind a gate near the well deck. First-class men arguing in overcoats near the gymnasium doors. A steward with a bundle of life jackets. A woman with a Pomeranian tucked under her arm like it belongs in the manifest. You smell cordite from a flare and salt from the wind. You tell yourself the officers know the plan. You tell yourself there's time for another trip. You tell yourself you're not the kind of person who pushes. Then a boat drops away half full, and someone behind you shoves a shoulder into your ribs. Rules don't vanish, they just get traded for elbows, and you learn what your hands are willing to become. Level 5 in the freezing waters. The ocean becomes the only world left. The deck tilts hard enough that your boots fight for purchase. Loose deck chairs skid past, scraping like teeth. Somewhere below, a deep groan rolls through steel watertight doors, collapsing bulkheads, the ship working itself loose from its own pride. You taste coal dust in the air and something sharper, like cold metal. You go over the side without deciding. The shock is a fist. It steals your breath, clamps your chest, turns every thought into a stutter. Water forces its way through seams, up sleeves, under your collar, and your limbs instantly feel borrowed. Around you, white cork life jackets, floating hats, a violin case spinning slowly as if it still has somewhere to be. You tell yourself to kick. You tell yourself to keep your face out of the water. You tell yourself a boat will turn back. Then the ship's lights flare bright, and for one awful second you see the black wall of her stern-rising windows glowing, people clinging, the nameplate gone from view. The ocean doesn't feel like cold. It feels like being erased 1 inch at a time. Level 6 rescued against all odds. You are pulled from the night, but not from what it did to you. A shape slides out of the dark, a lifeboat's bow, low and cautious, oars dipping without splash. A voice counts. One more. Quick. Hands hook your jacket straps and haul until your ribs catch the gunwale. Wood bites your stomach. Someone cuts at frozen laces. Another person shoves a blanket over your head, rough as burlap, smelling of damp wool and lamp oil. You lie among knees and soaked skirts and a man who won't stop praying under his breath. The boat is crowded but not full. Every empty space feels like an accusation. The rowers keep time by whispers. Pull, and by the distant, thinning screams they're trying not to hear. You tell yourself you're safe now. You tell yourself you didn't choose who stayed behind. You tell yourself dawn will make sense of it. Then a pale line appears on the horizon, and with it the Carpathia's lights steady, indifferent, real. Survival is not a victory. It's a receipt you carry forever, stamped in salt and silence. Daybreak turns the Atlantic the color of tin. You sit wrapped in other people's blankets, watching steam curl from your breath like a confession you can't finish. Names are called. Some are answered. Most aren't. The sea stays calm, almost courteous, as if it never touched you at all. You discover the strangest weight is not water in your lungs but the empty space where certainty used to live.